Hello everybody and welcome back. Root Beer here with question number 19 on our 2009 Grade 8 Gauss contest. So let's take a look and see what question 19 has for us. In the addition shown, P, Q, and R each represent a single digit, and the sum is 2009. The value of P plus Q plus R is... Okay. So, with questions like this, it's possible that there's some interesting way to add things up and actually figure out P, Q, and R. Their sum altogether without actually figuring out P, Q, and R. But I think it's far more likely that we can just sort of look at the situation and use some logic, oh, it could be this, this, and this number, let's rule out some of these, that sort of thing, and work out P, Q, and R individually. And then we should be able to get to our answer here. Okay? So, there's two ways to go about it. Experience tells me I don't think there's some way to just figure out P plus Q plus R without figuring out the numbers individually. But as we begin to explore the question, we'll find out together. So it's a sum of 2009. I know it was, I should probably have these lined up properly. It was RQQQ. And then I think it was P, Q, and P up here. Okay. So P, Q, and P. All right. So where to focus? Well, as I look through this, I notice I've got P and Q being added up, and I've got P and Q being added up. Now, when P and Q are added up, so P plus Q, it must end in a 9. Maybe we carry something, maybe we don't. That's not important right now. But maybe we do, maybe we don't. But then over here, P plus Q, it doesn't end in a 9, now it ends in a 0. The only way that can happen, because we know P plus Q has to end in a 9, is that something is carried over from the previous column. So we need to have a carried digit. So P plus Q plus 1 ends in a 0. And that tells me Q plus Q is greater than 9. Well, actually, more specifically, Q plus Q ends in 0, as we can see. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. Not necessarily true. It will be true, but I have to do a little bit of work here. So... what should we say here? So Q plus Q does one of two things. Either ends in 0 and has a tens digit. That is, it is equal to 10. Or we carry over from our P plus Q column. Now, why doesn't this happen? Well, because if we were to carry over, we'd be carrying over a 1. And then we'd have 1 plus 2Q is 10. How could that possibly be? 2Q would then have to be 9. But Q's a nice, healthy integer. And so that would show that 9 is even when it's not. So that's impossible. And it takes a little while to realize that. Okay, I would say that's probably the biggest hurdle in this question, is making the connection that, oh, okay, no, it's got to be Q plus Q is 10. There can't be a carryover from the previous column. But that would affect things. Because if we knew there was a carryover from P plus Q into the next column, then there'd be a carryover here, and that would tell you R is 1. Because 1 from the carryover plus R being 1 would have to be equal to 2. But we know there isn't a carryover, and that's going to tell us that R is 2 in just a moment. Okay, so P plus Q ends in a 9. Q plus Q must be 10. And that tells me Q is 5. And that tells me P, because P plus Q is 9, P must be 4. And it also tells me there's no carryover. Actually, no, there is a carryover. Silly me. There's a carryover in the last column regardless. Did not think that all the way through. because p plus q plus 1 must end in a 0, so it does carry over a 1. 4, 5, plus the carried over 1. Yeah, so r has to be 1. So p plus q plus r is 4 plus 5 plus 1, which is 10. There we go. So 10's our final answer. We actually know what each number is. If you wanted to, just to double check your work, you might take a look at these and try and add them up. And yeah, you do get 9, 0, carry the 1, 0, carry the 1, 2. And there you go. So we're looking for 10 amongst our answers. It's right there. It's B. And that does it for question number 19. One more to go in part B, and that'll be question number 13. Number 20. I'll see you for that in the next video.